And then just give us a good slap.
All right, here it goes. Kind of work.
Hey.
What up, though?
Hey.
Yo.
Go grab your old.
Look what y'all got ready for me right here.
Hey,
Come on.
cheers it. Cheers.
This is my hometown creek water, y'all.
Yes, sir.
It's like what, drinking water for you?
This is it. I don't know about that. I haven't practiced that much.
You got a little bitty
Cheers.
shirt, don't you?
Huh?
It's a little bitty shirt, huh?
Man, I did a bunch of push-ups this morning trying to get pumped up for this. Here I am.
Hey, this man.
I grew into it this
So
morning.
is this a shot or is this a sipper?
That looks like, I think it's a sipper.
Yeah.
Single barrel Jack Daniels is a sipper. I ain't shooting
right,
that. I'm
let's
enjoying
do
it the whole
Ain't gonna
time.
waste it up. Hey, all I know is the last time we saw you, it's like you had maybe 10 of these.
I did, man, with Dana White. That was a big night.
That was a
Big
good
night.
night. That was a good. You a feisty motherfucker. See why you was doing
Hey,
push-ups.
I got some Irish blood in me.
Yeah.
I can hang. I would say probably one of my biggest. I don't want to call it a demon, but one of my biggest challenges is I don't have an off switch once I start going.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I get that one or two in me, and then it's just we're gonna have a night.
Oh, we saw.
We're gonna have a
I'm
night.
not, I will never point at nobody, but I know somebody else that might be a little bit like that.
Yep.
No. The bad thing, I knew you were crazy when I was the one stopping you from fighting.
Hey, that guy bumped into me. You bump into a man in an alley. You know you got to stand your ground.
You gotta go.
That sounds like a start of a bad joke, too. You bump into a country music star in the alley. You never think it's gonna end, and Channing Crowder saves you from getting beat up. You know what I mean? Like, that's not how that story normally ends.
We were there, and I haven't read the room. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew you had an entourage around you.
Yeah.
And it was but in my mind, it was just a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So we're walking to the club, from one club to the other one, and then we stopped, and this fight's about to start. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, they're not fighting anybody. Get the over here. Both of y'all go their separate ways. And then people came to me like, oh, thank you, Channing, so much, man. You stopped Dustin. I'm like, what happened? And then I see and look, and I'm like, oh, shit. I just stopped this fight from this famous dude.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. It's good to, you got to know who's around you, right?
Yeah.
I knew you were in my corner.
Oh, you know I got you, yeah. If there was more people in their entourage than ours, you know I had you, bro.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, no, you were wide open though. I enjoy it.
I stay wide open.
So how was that gonna work if you would have actually become Dr. Dustin Lynch? Because that's what you wanted to do before you picked up the guitar.
I did. Well, I was playing guitar, but I kind of fell into wanting to be a doctor. I grew up not far from here, 10 miles down the road, and playing golf. So I was around the country club a lot, and I think, you know, when you're growing up, you're going, well, what do I want to be? And one of the doctors in town had the nicest car in the parking lot at the country club, you know? So I'm going and playing golf, and I'm like, guess I want to be a doctor.
Right.
I think he's pretty cool. And I fell in love I was just good at biology. So when I went to college, I was good at biology, I was good at chemistry. It just kind of came to me easy. And then I started falling in love with how the human body works. It's an amazing machine. And so I was like, well, let's try this pre-med thing. I was typical undecided freshman, and then sophomore year, I'm like, let's try this pre-med thing because I'm having fun learning about it. But once you tip that scale, man, once you decide on that, you're in deep, and it's tough to turn around, you know. So I was enjoying it, but man, studying on top of being an athlete in college is a challenge.
Hold up, limitless, niggas to me can't pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Get my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, get me up. On the mission, get me up. Knowing me, I got the key. Only vision I can trust. Limitless, niggas to me can't pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Get my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, get me up. On the mission, get me up. Knowing me, I got the key.
Well, I think with you not becoming Dr. Dustin Lynch, you've given the entire world, especially the country music world, an opportunity to have another star. So I'm sure they're happy that it didn't necessarily work out. But I mean, bro, 8 number ones, 4 top 5 albums, 10 gold and platinum certified singles. And so you just keep pumping it out since 2012. But man, welcome to the pivot. This is a cool pivot for us. We're here at the Jack Daniels Distillery in Lynchburg. Tullahoma got to be like right down the street because it's one arrow that points you here and the other arrow should just say, that's where Dustin Lynch is from. Although, if you look for famous people from your city you're like number 5 on the list.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, you
we
know
got
what
some
I mean?
ballers.
Yeah, you're like number 5
on.
on the list, man. I thought you was gonna be number 1, but you're not. Man, like when you look at how you've gotten to this point, right? And I was listening to you talk about, well, I was trying to decide what I want to be. You know, like when I'm young and Chan's young and Fred's young, at that time, we probably know we want to play football for a career. But when your teacher asks that question, you don't get to say that.
Sure.
Right? So it would be hard to be like, you know what? I'm gonna be a country music star, right? And they'll laugh at you. But now that you've gotten to this point, being from that small spot down the street, man, how has that progression and journey been for you?
You know, there was something always in the back of my mind as a kid, just listening to the radio and seeing, you know, artists that they felt like superheroes to me. I mean, they were, you know, like George Strait was the equivalent of Batman to me growing up. He was just this kind of otherworldly thing. But I think just doing life and feeling music, at a certain point you go, I wonder if I could do that. And I was singing in church. That's where I got started, and then it went into you know, middle school years and started taking a solo and feeling those butterflies and that pressure. But then connecting on stage, you know, and pulling it off, and that gets addicting, right? Started a band with my buddies, and I'm still addicted to it. I mean, I cannot wait. I'm so honored to be here tonight. We fly out, get back on tour later this evening. It's an addiction that I have of being on stage and I think entertaining, but connecting with people. Because we have such a responsibility now. You know, I think as an artist, I want to show up on stage every night and not let anybody down. You know, I want to be on stage and I want people to walk away going, man, that was an awesome night. I made an awesome memory with whoever. Maybe they met there, maybe they came with them. And so that, I think that's what keeps us grinding and the journey so much fun is every crowd's different. Music's really cool. It was a lot more fun than golf because I think any sport, because every time we tee it up, we win.
Yeah.
At least most times. I think very seldomly we tee it up and lose. So that's what's fun. It's kind of a guaranteed win playing shows. And my responsibility now is just not to let my fans down.
Is that still your biggest fear? I read somewhere you said failure and not wanting to let the fans down or the people down was your biggest fear.
It is my biggest fear. But too, I'm such in an exciting spot in my career because early on, you know, there's not an artist on earth that knows what they're doing. You know, it's because you hadn't done it. And you've seen other people do it, but how do you get on stage and entertain a crowd? How do you create a song out of thin air that goes on to affect someone's life that so much they want come see it in person? It's a magical thing. So yeah, letting people down is still probably the biggest fear. But you know, 10 years into touring like this, I'm comfortable. And early on, I was not comfortable at all. You know, being on stage, how do you move? I think some acts have some choreography and, you know, spots to be in. We're just up there playing our songs and trying to portray an emotion to get people to vibe with us. So I would say that this point in my career, it's a lot more fun on stage because I'm confident. I know what I'm doing. I know we're going to knock it out of the park. And so I'm having a lot more fun than on the early years I was having.
In college, I failed music listening. Don't y'all laugh. All you got to do is listen to the music.
You failed a class called music listening.
Whoa, hey, wait, that brings me to a point. I know this is probably going to be like a very important question. It brings me to a point. One, clearly, Florida is not putting out any geniuses. That's first and foremost, because if music listening is a class, and it's a class that's failable, and you also fail it, you're a great athlete.
One of the top schools in
Dustin,
the nation.
I know you have an affinity for Florida. Right? I know that. And because you do, as your friend,
oh man,
right?
Come on.
I want to share something with you all, right? Dustin, you know, he got a picture, he doing the gator chop.
That's my man right there.
Down on the sideline.
Hey,
well, guess what?
We can't let him get us down.
In Louisiana, we eat gators all kind of ways.
Oh,
y'all, we get y'all for the appetizers, we got y'all on entrees, we saute it. Man, Beloso Daddy had one of y'all on the grill before the game. So Dustin, from me to you, right? Because we had a gift for you in the chair. This is the most important gift you will receive this entire time. I want you to bring it on tour with you.
On tour?
Bring it on tour.
All right, I'll pack it tonight.
You know, and I know you said every night You get the opportunity to do your job. You feel like a winner. Bro, you wear that. Oh,
Is
my
this
God.
my new pregame hat?
Oh, my God. The winning
My
you
band
feel.
will stop believing me as a leader if I put this
No, they
on
won't.
the bus.
That's what I'm
They'll think
Because they
of you-
watch me cheer for the Gators so
They'll
much.
think of you as a champion. This is synonymous with what we do, guys. I'm sorry.
You guys-
We
you
just
just
watched
started
them. We
winning.
just watched them. They got a charcoal mellow. The Jack Daniels, we can throw that right on top of
Oh
the pile
yeah,
when
absolutely.
when they burn
I
it
got
down
a
the
hot
coals.
fire back there.
Well, hey,
Yes, that's all we can do with that.
Well, you
and
throw
you,
it-
and
throw
you
it-
want to hurt our feelings about the Gators being eaten and all because we make everything better.
and you do.
Any situation we're in, we make it better.
Y'all made this show better, but clearly you didn't make the baseball team better because LSU is the 2023 national
Come on,
champions.
I'll give you
What
that
you got,
congrats. Much deserved.
So back to me failing music listening because I was so focused on football and winning national championships.
Yes.
And beating LSU 51-10 and
Come on.
all that good shit. yes.
Golly, you gotta
But
be
it's not about that. No, I was just gonna ask you, man. I read you failed. Well, you didn't fail. You got a C in music.
Yeah.
And that pretty much sort of turned everything.
It did. Believe it or not, it was a devastating blow because I wanted to get into, it was called show choir back then. The next 2 years of high school, you had to, I think, get an A or something in whatever the class was. It was music something. And I got a C, so I wasn't even allowed to try out for the next 2 years of high school. I was booted, which honestly I think lit a fire under me. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have my own shows down the street. And me and a couple buddies started a band, and that's where it really started. Like, I fell in love. My mom had this old tape deck you could record, and I fell in love with playing a song and then going out in the driveway, putting it in her car, the cassette in her car, and playing that and hearing it back.
And that's the
where it all
correlation
started.
with failure again.
Yeah.
And what does that do like for your mindset overall? Without that, do we have the country superstar?
I don't think
Without
so.
that
I mean,
moment?
I don't think so because I would have had an outlet for music built into school outside of having to do it on my own. Maybe we would, but songwriting is still a brutal challenge every day. There's no concrete, hey, I did this at the end of the day because you have a song and even the best songwriters in Nashville, we do a lot of collaborating, and the best songwriters in Nashville will write over 100 songs a year and have 3 that maybe people hear.
Wow.
So you're talking about 97 at least days of it didn't matter. And 97 days of it didn't exist, I made it, and it doesn't matter. So I think I figured out as an artist who I am and what my fans want from me and what they want to hear from me. So I think the bullseye's got a little bit easier to track down, but it's still, getting a song to a level that is, has to be one of the best on the airwaves if it's going to get played, is a tough thing to do. And that didn't hit me until my first single came out, and I saw my name. My song was next to Kenny Chesney on the chart, and I go, it hit me. Oh wait, the dude that I've been looking up to my whole life is now my competition on the field. But music's an incredible thing. There's no animosity, between artists. It's a collaborative space, but it is tough. I mean, if you want a song to go up the charts, it's got to beat everybody else's, and it's a fun game.
Before the show, we were talking, and it seemed like it was so easy. Like, as you talk, yeah, I got a golf scholarship. Oh, yeah, and then I was going to be a doctor. But then I'm become an international superstar. Like, is it that easy? Like, are you just super talented? Because it seems like your life is a storybook. It seems like it's a movie.
I would say I can blame it all on the game of golf, because it's me versus me out there, right? You can't blame anybody. You're picking the club, you're hitting the shot. At the end of the day, it's your score, and early on, I think that really just taught me what hard work is. I mean, at one point, I'm going, man, I'm going to be a pro golfer. Tiger Woods is coming out just crushing everybody, and it's like I want to be that guy. And I would wake up before school, and we had a net out back of the house in a barn, and I would, at 6 a.m. sunrise before school, I'm out there hitting golf balls into the net. Then go to school, then go to the golf course afterwards and play till dark, and just grinding it out. And I think it's just that taught me a lot of time management, but also what hard work pays off. It's kind of like you put your time in and good things happen. You hit better shots, you win tournaments, and it was a blessing. I got a golf scholarship where I did. I got a scholarship in Nashville, Tennessee, at Lipscomb University, which was you know, I was trying to get to Nashville at the time because I knew I needed to be there to learn how to write better songs and entertain and get down there in those alleys at the honky tonks, you know, and start cutting my teeth and how to entertain. And during my college golf career, I realized I don't have a chance against these boys because several of the guys I was playing with are on tour right now and winning. And they were just eating my lunch out there. So I realized, hey, I just need to be good enough to keep my scholarship, to help my team out. But then the focus went to music pretty hardcore of how can I get in these bars, how can I get, you know, Lipscomb University is a Church of Christ school, so there's no partying at all. You got to check out when you leave, if you're not coming back to the dorm, and or at least back then I think it's got a little bit looser. So we would go down the street to Vanderbilt University, and they had a frat row. And I had a buddy from my hometown that was at the ATO house, and he would invite us over for parties, and there's cover bands in there. And they're younger guys playing these shows, and I'm going, what are y'all paying these dudes to play these frat parties? Like, give me some of that. And that's just, so I went home and just started woodshedding, like trying to learn as many songs as I could. I would go to these parties and write in my phone all the songs that were working. And kind of started building my catalog of cover songs that I saw work at these parties. And I started learning those, and then one door led to another one. You know, started getting some little bar gigs in Nashville at the college bars, and then UT Knoxville came to play Vanderbilt one fall football game. And after the game, some of the Knoxville students came by and they saw us play a show, and they stopped us after we had a set break or something, and they said, "Hey, we got a crawfish bowl in a couple of weeks, and we need a band to play it. Will you play?" And that was the break I needed, man. That was and then I go, well, how am I gonna get to Knoxville? I don't think I have a car that can get me to Knoxville, much less pull a trailer full of speakers. And so I had to run down how to rent speakers, and we went up there and played this crawfish bowl. And that show turned into 2 more shows in 2 weeks in Knoxville. They just loved what we were doing, and I think it was just from doing it so much in Nashville, just having and seeing it so much and taking those notes through the years on what was working. We just had a killer set that just blew up there. And so Knoxville, that was kind of home base, that first base outside of Nashville where it started growing for me.
You speak about writing a lot. If you read things about you, you talk about the process of writing. And country music seems to be one of those genres where you're giving people yourself.
Yeah.
Right? There's so much in that music that people relate to because it's from real life stories. And in your debut album, it's like very simply named Dustin Lynch. So it's basically saying, okay, world, this is me. And now you're putting yourself out there for everyone to either accept you and like you or reject you because they don't accept your music. And it seemed that there was a very interesting story behind writing Cowboys and Angels. And you've also continued to show that was about your grandparents. Every time you get an opportunity, whether it's their anniversary or whatever it is, you let the world know this is where the song comes from. It's that sort of love story or their love story that I'm telling. But you said, like, you're talking to Tim Nichols and he comes out and he has it on a piece of paper, Cowboys and Angels.
Yeah.
And he has to have the same name written down. What sort of like serendipitous moment was that, and how great was it for people to accept that song and kind of start to love on you because of it?
It seems like the big moments, and pun intended, I guess, the pivotal moments of my career, like the big shining moments. I can remember like it was yesterday. I mean, I remember where I was in the gym whenever I got the idea of Cowboys and Angels and wrote it down in my phone. This was 2008 or 9, you know. And Tim was a writer that I fell in love with just watching. You know, in Nashville, there's songwriter shows pretty much every day of the week. So these songwriters that are behind a lot of the music that aren't the artists on stage or around Nashville telling their stories on what inspired a song. And Tim was an incredible storyteller outside of all of the big hits he had written. So I liked kind of following him around at these little songwriter hangs, and then I finally landed a day on the books to write with Tim. So I'm freaking out. Like, I'm coming in prepared, done my homework. I've narrowed it down to like 4 or 5 ideas that hopefully he'll like. Man, I got in there and I looked at all my lists. I was like, these all stink. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm panicking.
Right.
And we just kind of beat around and wasn't really getting anywhere. And he took a phone call and I was like, this is it. Like, he's over me. I don't have anything going on at this point. He came back in and he goes, man, you wear a cowboy hat, right? I said, yes, sir. So I got this idea way back in my book, and he had a leather-bound book, and he had Cowboys and Angels written down, and it was unbelievable. I'm like, that was one of the 4 or 5 ideas I wanted to write with you today. We'd never talked about it. I mean, just incredible circumstance. So right then we go, okay, we got to write this song, and I'm glad you mentioned Grandmom and Granddad. They're 2 of the biggest Gator fans, so you'll love this song even more now.
Cheers to that.
So that song was like, okay, well, who's the cowboy and angel? And my grandparents have an incredible love story. They've been married since they were 17. Just celebrated their 68th wedding anniversary, and they're just yesterday. Granddad sends me a picture. They're out down in Florida right now catching fish and just living life to its fullest, you know. And I think if I've learned anything from them, it's about make the most out of every day of this journey. You know, you never know where it's going to end up. It's taken them all over the country, and they're now in Florida. But just 2 incredible, you know, souls on earth that I'm still so blessed to have in my life.
You talk about your granddad. You said it was good to have a counselor in the house when he consoled you over a breakup.
Yeah.
What type of woman would give a guy an ultimatum, it's music or me?
I think a bunch of them. You know, particular girl you're talking about was with me at the end of college thinking I'm going to go to med school and be a doctor, right? That's a very safe path of life. I think that's a career path that we're going to need for forever, right? And then to throw some certainty away she knew what was coming. I mean, she was watching me play these shows, and to throw it away for nothing, for, you know, tips in a jar on Lower Broadway. I mean, making no money, trying to figure out how to make rent. I was cutting grass during the day. I wouldn't take those days back for anything, but I think that's what it was. So to answer your question, I think a bunch, you know.
Well, the real question was your grandfather, the cowboy.
Yeah.
In that moment, like how did he, you know, help you get through the break?
Well, you know, it's awesome to have him, you know, there as a rock for me, because he moved up to Tennessee because he got a job, a preaching job, and that kind of morphed into family counseling and just counseling in general. But being in Nashville, he's counseled a bunch of big artists, songwriters, musicians. So he has seen what my industry can do or does, you know, just to mental health. It can be a challenge, you know, there's ups and there's downs. It's very uncertain. That's why I love it. You know, we're not guaranteed another.
He's like, yeah, it sucks, but I love it.
No, well, it's
that's
just,
why.
Excitement is lit up.
It's the challenge of, can we do it again? You know, can we make a song that's going to beat everybody else's this year and put it out on radio, or people are going to want to hear it and come out to our shows? And so, but that's a tough up and down, and it's a career. I think just like with sports, there's a window where you get to play the game, and then that door closes, you know, and you got to figure out what the next chapter is. So I think to answer your question, having him in my corner is just great, because he has so much experience of all kinds of folks who have handled it in different ways. And I think he knows how to navigate those waters, and it's great to have him there.
The lady that wanted the doctor, she fucked up. She's looking back now like, God damn it, I shouldn't have gave the ultimatum. Is it wild to be a country music superstar like you are, with the ladies, with the tours, with the buses? Like, you hear about the athlete side. We know the athlete side of it.
Yeah.
But from your side, we're on a team. We're playing a sport that's been played and going to be played moving forward. There's 32 teams, they're not stopping. You're the frontman, you're everything. Your face walks in. I've watched it. I've watched you walk in and bad ones be like, oh, tapping each other and shit. Is it nuts?
It's fun, yeah. It's a lot of fun. But I will say, you know, the one saving grace for me, I always say, if I was a bass player, I'd be screwed, man, because I have to watch how much I'm out there because of my voice. I'll lose my voice very quickly if I hang with you too much. I was gonna say, I'm ready. This thing's starting to burn my leg. So that's, you know, that's kind of my regulating. I don't want to disappoint anybody this weekend by, you know, being out partying too much and not being able to be at my best, you know, and I want to put on the best show I can. So I try to stay in the best shape I can stay in and travel as much as we do. But yeah, I mean, it's the world's wide open, you know, and I think I'm looking forward to the next chapter of, you know, who I'm going to do life with. I think that's an exciting place to be, but I'm not rushing it. I'm not going to force it. I've told my family this, like, I love the freedom of not having to answer to anybody and being able to say yes to, traveling and just doing what I love to do. And so that's kind of the spot I am in life right now.
Your mom's she came with you.
Yeah.
You talk about your grandparents so glowing. Like, you're a family guy. And like I said, then you're a superstar. Was there any transition there? Like, was there any conversations that had to be had?
Well, I think the funny thing, like being back in my hometown, after having some early success with Cowboys and Angels, and that song put us on the map, but it got us all over TV and and radio, and you get to do all these fun things. And of course, your hometown thinks you're worth $2 billion now. Little did the world know I was living on my mom and dad's guest room. I didn't even have a house in Nashville because I was broke. I was making more money playing frat parties and wedding receptions before I had a record deal than I did with 3 songs on the radio.
Wow.
To any young aspiring artists or writers, be smart about, whenever things start happening, be smart about what really is happening and be patient with how you spend money, I would say to anybody watching that could possibly be in that position at some point.
If the transition to, because I would say myself, like, okay, I'm in college, my mom's still sending me money, weekly to buy food. Then I get to the NFL, and I had to sit Pauline down, like, I'm a grown-ass millionaire now. Like, don't, you can't speak to me like that.
Yeah.
Was there anything like that? Because you love your family, you love your, your
I do love it. I think I don't think they look at me any different, but I love I love bringing their friend circles into life if we can. Like my cousins, we have so much fun right now. They're finally old enough to hang out and be out and have fun. They're out of college, so they're able to be around. And I love bringing in their friend circles to be a part of the creative process on, hey, we've recorded X amount of songs. Like, what are we going to put on the album, or what songs are y'all digging? Like right now, I'm just finished an album that's coming out later this summer, and so I've got them out on the boat, playing them new songs, and going, what do y'all think we should put out next? And so the inclusion of their friend circles is a lot of fun for me right now. But as far as my family looking at me any different, no. They don't give me an inch, man. No, it's
Listen, your gifts better be a little bigger when Christmas comes around.
Oh, well, I love spoiling.
Oh, okay.
I love spoiling.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fred mentioned earlier you got the ultimatum from a woman, but also you grew up in a family, your dad is the golf pro at the country club. Like you said, you're up every morning and you're practicing, and when you decide to major in what you did, you make a declaration that being a doctor is my future job, or that's the career I want. Like, your parents so into that, right?
Yeah.
Your parents make sacrifices to get you to that place. Did you ever have to have a conversation with them, or what was the conversation like? I'm gonna go a different direction. I love music. This is what I want to do in my life. And even though you've made all these sacrifices for me, while I'm doing music and I got these songs on the radio, I got to stay at your guest house. What are those conversations like when you truly make that decision to pour into your passion?
It was tough, because the inner battle with me too is I'm about to throw away 4 years of not hanging out with my friends on the weekend because I'm in the library studying, trying to pass a test. There was a lot of time on my side of things that I was saying no to. Why did I study? Why did I literally not sleep for, 4 years of my life trying to study and make A's so I could get into med school? So that was an inner battle. But then, there's a couple of moments that happened. It was what makes me happy, the happiest. And I answered this question. I forget what the jackpot was. There was some Powerball that was huge. Mm-hmm. And I went down to this corner gas station not far from where I was living and got a ticket. And I was like, all right, if we win tomorrow, what are we doing? And I said, I think I'm just going to go back down to Broadway and play my bar show.
Wow.
For tips in a jar. And whenever that was the answer, it wasn't go to med school. Whenever that was the answer, it was like, oh, I should maybe look at this a little bit stronger. And mentioning your mom sending you money, my parents were the same way. They helped me all the way through college, with rent and food and everything. And so for, obviously that conversation's going on of, man, all of this for what, and I don't think any parent wants to hear their kid go, hey, I'm going to give up a pretty, stable and certain life ahead for going to these honky tonks and playing for people partying.
Yeah.
For potentially no money. I mean, back in the day, we got $35 to play 4 hours on Lower Broadway. No breaks. 4-hour set, $35. That's a tough.
His face.
That's a tough deal.
You might as well beg for money under the bridge.
I'm telling you. It was, but I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. Like, because some nights you've got a couple groups full of people in there, and some nights it's just you and the bartender, and you got to figure out how to play 4 hours of music to nobody. So when we get out there now, this day and age, man, and we've got fans singing our songs, it's the best thing ever. I know exactly how to do all of that.
I just want to let you know too, man. If you need me to check on the girl that you made out with in Baton Rouge, like if you need me to,
All right.
if you need me just to, because
I'm
you
glad
wrote
you brought that back
if you just
around.
need me to make sure I could listen, I live there still, bro. You know, I'm sure if she's on a level to date you, she's dated some teammate I played with back in the day.
Oh, for
You
sure.
know, so I'll just what type of life
I'm glad
she's
you brought
living.
that back around. 2 things to that. So how that line came to be in this song, right? My high school sweetheart moved off. She went to college and then she went to college in Knoxville and then got a teaching job down in Baton Rouge. So that's where that line came from. A little offshoot of that, I was hoping that we would beat you guys in the World Series so bad because this scar right here on my lip is from a blindside cheap shot in a bar in Baton Rouge from a baseball player.
Oh, we'll do that now. Yeah, we will steal on you in Tigerland.
No, he said cheap shot.
To go, I got blindsided. blindsided. So I'm sitting here watching LSU baseball. Like, I want these guys to lose so bad because whoever that dude was, I hate him still.
Hey, you should hate him, man.
Game 2 was sweet though.
Hey,
Game 2 was awesome. I called Game 2, by the way. I'll show you the text thread.
And you
I
should
was like,
hate
the bats
him.
are about to get hot.
You should hate him, but the line is dope in the song, and the song is great.
Yeah.
So you at least got to give us that.
But
you know?
that's literally why I thought about Baton Rouge. I thought about, her name's Jen. And then I was like, you know what? I got to put Baton Rouge in a song because I literally wear a scar on my face from a night out in Baton Rouge.
Dustin, you fight a lot.
I don't
bro.
fight at all.
What is going on?
I was trying to break one up.
You got a little something in you now.
You may have Irish.
Hey, like people don't just get punched for nothing. Like you did something, Dustin.
I jumped in the pile.
I like that.
I jumped in
about
the
you,
pile. Yeah, they were ganged up on one of my guys, so I jumped in.
But as you sit here today though, as a worldwide superstar, your ass can't jump in the pile no more.
No,
right?
I'm not jumping in any more piles. No.
But can you not? Because it was just recent that I had to grab your ass.
There's something called posturing. I knew who was behind me.
But I gotta ask, because you were talking about the girl in Baton Rouge and the storyline. I'm the crazy when I like these stories. Like, what's the wildest thing? I've seen girls flash you. You know what I'm saying? I've seen that stuff. Please don't date them. The ones that flash you.
No.
Yeah, find your lady at church. But I want to hear about the non-church girls. I want to hear some
Non-church
non-church
girls?
girl stories. Like the wildest thing that you seen and deal with as a superstar, as the guy that you said, you know how to entertain, you know what you're doing, you're a good-looking guy. You know what I'm saying? Beautiful blue eyes. I'm looking at you right now.
Wearing little
motherfucker.
shirts.
Amazing, tight-ass shirt. You got your nipples out right now. But no, like it has to be some.
Drink whiskey, they get hard, man.
Jack Daniel got pasties.
It got to be some wild stuff that you've seen.
There is, yeah. I mean, I think what I love, since Mom's here, I'm going to pivot a little bit from that question.
Mom knows what goes on.
never happened, Mom.
How do you think Mom made you? Sorry, Mom. Love you to death.
What is it? Earmuffs.
I would love to tell the story, but I'm not telling it with her here. No, I think just what I did not expect is how alike a lot of people that I guess in the entertainment industry as musicians, but also athletes are, and just the doors that open and the people that I get to be around, sitting here with you guys is just unbelievable. So to answer your question, what's the wildest thing? I think getting to hang with people I never thought I would get to hang with, and do life with. The wildest night, I'll leave it at this. I'm gonna say the wildest night. One of my shining moments of a night was New Year's Eve years ago. I was kicking it with Bruno Mars for consistently for a bit. And he was playing a New Year's Eve show, and we're in Vegas. And so I come in, I'm watching sound check. They're trying some new crazy 10-minute cover thing that's only his brain can figure out and his band isn't figuring out. He gets mad. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to ease out of here. I'm going to come back for showtime. So I came back for showtime, and it's me in the dressing room, and in walks Halle Berry. And it's her and her security guard, and so we're forced to talk because we're waiting on the band guys to pregame and then come say hello. So we're doing that and like breaking the ice and having fun. And Bruno comes in and we're hanging out, and he's like, "Hey, got to go to this. I forget what club it was, but we're gonna go pick a bag up at the club after the show. Walk with us. Be right here after the show." So show's awesome. It's me and Halle and her security guard at front of house where the engineers are mixing the sound. So we're having fun, and at this point, like, it's comfortable now. Like, we have a little rapport, and life's good. And so we come back in. Bruno comes back in. He changes, and they walk us underground for forever in Vegas. And we pop up in this club. And so I thought he was going up to sing or something. He's just supposed to be going and hanging out. So we're hanging out, and I'm just like, I don't want to mess this up. This is the coolest night ever. Freaking Halle Berry's. I've been hanging with Halle Berry. I'm like, how did I get here, right? And so they're over there doing their thing, like the band guys are there, and I'm just trying to stay out of the way. And Bruno comes over to me and he goes, "Hey, dude, you got to get over here. Halle is all about you." And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." I kind of shake it off. I'm like, "Give me a drink." I won't even drink, and I'm like, "Give me a drink." Yeah, give me a drink. He comes back over. He goes, "Dude, if you don't get over here right now, we're not friends anymore." And I was just the token hillbilly, I guess. So the next thing I know, it's me and Bruno and his girl and Halle Berry just dancing like crazy in this booth at this club. He gets up, does a couple songs, and we'll end the story there. But that, to answer your question, like ending up with people in life that you never would dream of being around, is just awesome. And that's one of those shining moments that I can think about with Mom sitting over there.
Man, are you okay though, Fred? Because I know how you feel about Halle Berry. As the story was being told, I could see you taking deep breaths and you were sinking into your chair. Are you okay?
I am so okay. I'm a bit jealous, but I'm okay. Man, she's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, did you get close?
Absolutely. My problem was this. Whenever Bruno Mars is asking you to come dance next to him, look at me.
Yeah.
I mean, in these things, like, I'm going, how am I going to dance next to you, dude? There's no way. But finally, I was like, when I said, "Give me a drink," I was like, here we go. You can't turn that opportunity down.
Like
right?
you dancing in Jordan.
Dude,
you don't feel nothing.
I jumped right in there. It was awesome.
You did one of them line dances, the boot scooting boogie?
No. No, I let her lead.
Hey, Dustin, at that point, all you got to do is two-step, man.
I know.
That's all you do. You find the rhythm and two-step.
Recently, can you guys two-step? You ever tried?
Yeah.
That was a questionable yeah.
I just, like you said, give me a drink, I'll figure this thing out.
There we go, okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever?
That line, I'm ready, that line dance.
I brought you a little,
my man.
Speaking of two-step and a country dance.
My man, thank you. Gosh, I wanted this so badly.
Does it fit, kinda?
I got a big old head, bro.
Yeah,
We're gonna
you
make it
do.
work. Oh, yeah.
It's kind of on there.
I'm gonna hold it. Yeah, I got a big old head.
Yeah.
It's long this way.
You look good.
It fits you, brother.
Well, last time I wore a hat on the show, I wore it too low, and our producer, picked the hat up.
That's
we can't
the problem
see your
with the Cowboy eyes. Yeah,
This thing is, I ain't seen Dustin eyes all show, but you ain't say nothing to him. Yeah.
See, with the cowboy hat, I'm
wear like a Jeep.
always struggling with the shave. I mean, that's always.
So were you wearing the cowboy hat the night you were hit by the beer bottle on stage?
Yes.
How in the hell can they get the bottle under the hat? Like,
He came from, we were, stage you're up, so he came from like right underneath. Yeah, you're mentioning, you can't write a better story than this. This is, my grandma was at that show, believe it or not. We're in Niceville, Florida.
Niceville.
At the Mullet Festival.
Boy.
On the panhandle.
Yep. And
The Mullet Fest.
and so we go up on stage, we're playing a song. I just had my grandma out. Everybody loved it. She cheered, like walked her out, cheered, walk her back. And for some reason, this guy just launches an unopened can of beer. I mean, fastball, and just catches me right there. And at that point, I'd already been punched by the LSU baseball player, so I knew what a shot felt like. And I was like, that was a good shot. I don't know how bad it is, but it's bad. And my face is just boom. And yeah, I mean, just one of those things. We had a few songs left to play, and I was bleeding pretty good, but I'm like, I'm already cut. Like, we might as well finish the show. I'm not gonna chicken out at the mullet festival with the cut on my face.
Yeah, you gotta be.
We gotta
you
finish
gotta
the
be
show.
tough at the mullet festival.
Yeah, so we finished the show and then headed to the hospital, got stitched up. But just another amazing moment on stage.
Is there a such thing as street cred in country music? Because that's got to give you
That
some
actually,
level of like hay bale cred.
Yeah,
or-
I didn't really understand what something like that would do for a career, but I was on, at that point, I think I only had a couple, 3 songs out, and I was on every news show you could be on the next week, like all the Hollywood shows, all the gossip shows. It was just one of those viral clips that took off, and whoever threw it, thank you, because it helped me out a lot.
There was a lady recently that got hit with a cell phone.
Cell phone.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Bust her eye
That was
open.
tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like that side of it? Like you seem like just hearing you talk, you love music. You love the art of music, but also you have to sell yourself. You have to be sellable. You have to make money.
Yeah.
Do you like that side?
I like the side of it a lot. I think, now looking, I feel like we've got the music figured out. At this point in the game, it's about longevity for me. Early on, I didn't want to be a flash in the pan. I wanted to be something that was around for a bit. And I think we've proven that. I think people expect a certain caliber of songs from us now, which is a challenge, but good. I think it keeps us working hard. But the hustle of just getting better and continuing to get better, I still feel like every tour we put together and every show we put together, we can do a better job at certain things, at making someone want to come back and do it again. And right now, I'm really focused on the culture around what is our show. I think the end goal, I said this out loud 2 days ago on the boat to one of my guys. I was like, the end goal, we may not ever sell the most tickets, but I want people to know when we come through town to get there early and stay late. I want the day to be the show. I don't want the show to be the show. I want them to be a part of the day and making those days memorable, because they're coming with friends, they're coming with their significant others. And if we can make them have a memory of a day, if you can think back to concerts y'all have been to, and at least in my memory bank, some of my favorite days of my life have been concert days. And it's not just the show. The show's great, but it's what happened around it. It's where you ate, it's where you drank, it's the pre-party, it's what happened after the show. And so just creating that culture around, my music is what I'm really focused on now.
Channing asked you about that side of it, right? And it made me think about what you said earlier. Much like us, people thought you were a billionaire back at home, right? And being so close to home, friends, family, and people coming along for the ride. Is it tough in country music? Like, you look at other genres, you can look at, athletics, professional sports. They have entourages, right? And you learn later in your career, not everybody can come along. Like, if you had all your boys with you that night, I don't think you get those dances with Halle Berry. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it a struggle in country music with entourages, much like it is with other genres of music?
I think,
sports?
what I think a blessing is of social media right now, and this just happened recently. There's a trip we do annually out to a lake, and we houseboat, and that's like the one spot where I feel like we can not worry about anything and just have fun, we go out to this island, we set the boats out, we set up speakers, we can get out there and play cover songs. It doesn't matter how many beers we've had, just have some fun. And I think the beautiful thing of social media now is you can sniff out pretty quickly who the real ones are and who aren't, and who's there to post about you and post about them being with you. And so I think my circle of friends that I keep, it's a pretty tight circle. But we just do life, and yeah, we'll let people in on what we're doing, but I don't think it's in any sort of braggadocious way. It's not like, look who I'm with, and that's all good and fine. But I think that lets me know who's real and who's not. Right now touring is tough because we've been doing it long enough where we have friends in a lot of the cities.
Yeah.
And so they've been saving up all year. We do this 3 times a week. They do it once a year with us. So they've been saving up all year for us to come through. And it's like, we got a host, and we do a great job at it. But that's what the challenging part is now, is picking those battles, because they'll go as long as you want to go. But I think it's just communication and letting them know, like, hey, we got a big weekend of shows. Y'all can go for it, but I'm going to lay low.
Yeah.
But I love hosting, and to answer your question, I think, yeah, it's there, but it's easy to kind of sift through with who posts what.
Right, 2 things right there that jumped out. Touring. You're always on the road, always on the go. But you said sniff out. I read where you say you like the smell of skunk because it reminds you of home, right? And you're always on the go, so you're rarely home. But you like the smell of skunk. And when I read it, I'm like, he got to be talking about that other skunk, like that cannabis, that good weed, but skunk.
I do, yeah.
Channing, this is where you should be chiming in.
You guys,
skunk?
I'm talking about that.
Have you ever smelled a skunk?
Nah,
a lot of people haven't.
Yeah, you can smell it. I mean, if you drive down the street and the skunk is dead, you can smell it.
Like,
yeah, like
but
it has a,
you know what we see on
That's not
TV or what we've heard.
That's not an
usually,
enjoyable
It's not
smell.
a pleasant
I didn't
smell,
read
right?
this shit. This is crazy.
Yeah, but I thought it was like that skunk, that gas.
If you guys
I got you.
if you guys
I'm
hang out
spitting
around
everywhere.
here long enough, you'll be like, oh, that's why he likes it. It just reminds me of home. I guess we got a bunch of them here. I don't know.
Right.
it's a comforting smell for Dustin.
It is.
It makes sense, but not the
nothing
actual,
strong. I don't want to get sprayed by one.
Right.
But driving down the road and smelling, I think, growing up here, there's not a whole lot to do, as you guys can see. So our fun is just literally driving into the back roads. And if we find a cool spot to park, try not to get kicked out of wherever we set up shop at and hang. So that was all the high school years of doing that. And as you're riding these back roads looking for somewhere to hang out, you come across that. So yeah, I think, as we're rolling down the road in a tour bus and you smell one, you go, oh, that takes me back to it.
So what's the difference in the smell of skunk and the smell of the environmental waste lab that you hate so much? Like,
Yeah, you mentioned the
Both gotta
environmental
smell
waste
like
lab.
shit,
That
right?
was, oh man. You're talking about the job I had whenever I got the call that changed it for me.
right.
Being a biology chemistry nerd, I got a job at the environmental lab because it got to where I was cutting grass for a living, but when you're breathing that stuff in all day, and like out here today, I was having to cut from whatever time they let me start, usually 8 a.m. You don't start too early and piss everybody off, but start at 8 a.m. and cut grass all day long and then go try to sing a 4-hour set for $35. That's a tough day. So I was like, man, I got to get some AC, So I got this job at this environmental lab, and part of my job was testing sewage runoff and like really bad stuff, bad like runoff from chemical plants, and there's this plant in East Tennessee that breaks down old warheads, military warheads. We were testing that soil. So they would send in samples. I'd have to open the sample up, scoop some out, weigh it out, and then test it. And so yeah, I was literally dealing with sewage a lot of my days. And I got a call from who became my first manager ever, standing in the walk-in freezer, grabbing some samples of sewage to come out. I got a call from him like, yeah, dude, I'll come meet with you. This is awesome. So that was another one of those moments we talk about, like you remember like it was yesterday.
I joke around a lot, as you see. So now when people see me in the airport, they just look at me and start smiling, and they want me to be funny. Like, say something funny, do something, go.
Yeah.
Do you, because I'm about to ask you to do it, but do people expect you to entertain them as an entertainer? Because I'm about to ask you to sing right now, here in a second.
I'm gonna need two more of these.
Do you dislike that?
No, I think it's flattering now. If I'm, I like it to be at the right time. I don't want to be a puppet that, if I'm like you said, walking through an airport, sing me a song, it's like, nah, that ain't happening. But it's way too early for me to sing anyways. But
I would say, are you, now I got to test his manhood a little bit.
Bring it.
Are you good enough to, there we go. But can you, like, could you really go right now, or do you have to?
I could go.
What could you do? I sang, who was it, Jana Kramer? I sang Little Mermaid with her.
Oh my God.
If you give me a song, I know Friends in Low Places.
Let me hear those vocals really
I gotta
quick.
go I don't know my country roots.
Blame it all on my roots. I showed up in boots.
I ruined your black champagne. What was it? Hey.
Get this man a karaoke screen. I got friends in low.
Places where the whiskey drowns.
You're about as good as I thought you'd be.
I ain't even sitting up, Dustin, on that crazy. That's amazing, bro. You can really jump into that shit like that.
I can jump in, yeah. I love it though, man.
The man sang for $35.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, you can do it.
Oh yeah, shit. Can you
4
do it?
hours straight.
Can you do it? Do you do it for the ladies?
Absolutely.
It's a cheat code.
It is, man. I will say, like, I loved football so much. My dad played, I don't know if you guys know this, my dad played 2 years at Florida. He walked on and played. He was defensive back. Played 79 and 80, right, Mom? 78, 79. And so I love football, and he loved me playing football, but I got my bell rung at 8 years old by a bigger dude, and I was small. I was fast. I was like, I think this is it for me, man.
At 8, you retired?
I retired at 8. And you know what's crazy? Coming from Tullahoma to here, you pass Lynchburg High School's football field, and that's where we played all our Pop Warner games. A lot of them, and it took me back. I was like, dude, I just literally reminded myself, dude, you were 8. You know? But I retired at 8. You get to high school.
That's a funny phrase. Retired at 8.
So much of high school revolves around Friday night football here, man. In Tennessee, I don't know a lot of other places, but it's such like the town lives and breathes football, Friday night football here. And not being able to be on that field is tough because you're not a part of the team and they know where the party is after the game, you know? So I figured out very quickly, playing guitar and singing, I would find out where the parties were after the games, and I would just bring a guitar, and it's easy to captivate somebody when you're strumming a guitar in a house party in a living room. You know, somebody's gonna pay attention to you. I think that's what became addicting about it. And yes, I was doing it for the ladies, because the next week I had to have another song to play them, because you know, whatever John Mayer song I played last week was old news. You know?
What's the most requested song for you? You know, there's always that song when you're on stage that you know is the joint, and you can fake like you're not gonna play it and go to the back, and they'll be like, "Hey, Dustin, come on, play this." What is that one song for you that every time you tee it up, the crowd goes wild?
I think everybody expects Small Town Boy from us. You know, if we don't play it, I think they know the show's not over.
Right.
It was. I never knew if we could beat that song we did with Thinking About You as far as you know, a run commercially with it. That song set. It was the longest running top 10 in Billboard chart history. And that's one of those things you go, what? You can't really think it. So we finally got to move Small Town Boy from dead last to like middle of the show this year.
Right.
Which was cool, because just like anything, when you have to do something the same time every time, it gets old, and like we want that song to be able to be moved around. So I'm glad we're at that point now. But that would be the song I think that people come to see that really relate to it, and it was such a blessing. It took our careers to, I say our, I always speak it as a team because it took our careers to just a new level, you know. And I think it allowed us to have a song that will stand the test of time and allow us to tour, you know, for as long as we want to tour. We're at a point now, I think that puts me in a very comfortable spot to where I know with the catalog of songs we have, we can tour as long as we want to, you know, in life. And that's important for me. We may have to, you know, we may fluctuate on how many people we can take out on the road, how big the tours are. Obviously, when that window closes, you have younger artists come in that will eat up more bandwidth and tickets. But I think our fan base is strong enough to where we can do it as long as we want to, and I'll be able to keep, you know, my team employed, and you know, that's a big deal to me.
In that song, you actually start off kind of describing yourself, or describing a young man that could be from Tullahoma, Tennessee. And you mentioned the first time you were like kind of side by side with Kenny Chesney, it was a big deal for you. You know, Drake has a song, you know, your idols become your rivals. You say it's not that necessarily that level of competition, but from where you were then, or getting that call as you're working, you know, your day job and scooping sewage, to now being on tour and doing things with Kane Brown and having those sort of people be your contemporaries, man. When you look back on all that and the things that you have accomplished and what you still want to accomplish, how much pride do you have in the sacrifice and what it's brought you?
So much, but I'm still learning so much. You know, I think the past 10 years, 11 years of doing this, the transition of how music is made is completely changed. I mean, when I started, we didn't have, streaming wasn't a thing. And when I started, really collaborations weren't that big of a thing. When I started, we didn't know that a pandemic would hit and completely pull the plug on 2 years of touring and everything that we had built to really go out and try to capture that following year. I mean, it just gutted us. We released an album called Tullahoma, January of 20. Within 2 months, we weren't able to go tour it. And so I think my journey has been a pretty challenging 10 years. If you look at the past 30, 40 years of country music, there's been a lot of changes. So I'm proud of me and my team for being, able to take those on and stomach. I've learned a lot. To literally have your job taken away from you and go, okay, are we ever going to get to do this again? How do I keep my people whole? How do we keep them from, having to go do stuff they don't want to do? How do I keep everybody, able to bridge the gap to the next chapter? Was a challenge, but we figured it out. I think it made us stronger. I think it also it made us appreciate a lot more what we have now and what we had before. We don't take these shows for granted. I don't think we ever did, but man, I think there's a little bit more of a joy, on the road now. I can sense that people appreciate, whenever we get out and get after it.
How long does it take for any new woman that you're dating who's excited to date this country music superstar to figure out you're a mama's boy?
I would say not long. I would say not long. If anything, ever gets past, fun and gets into like, hey, are we gonna, travel and do this, right? Or go, I don't know, be consistent. It seems like my mom and dad are so close, and they come out to a lot of events. It seems like they cross paths pretty quick. So. Right. No, I don't think it takes long. I think I definitely am a mama's boy, and I proudly say that as she sits right there smiling.
Do you have to let her know, like you just said, you're a wordsmith when it goes past just fun. But do you have to let her know, yeah, Mom, don't
worry about this.
Don't get too close to Erica.
I was nervous. We were on the road with Luke Bryan for 2 years. And it was a great tour because Luke he was doing so many tickets at the time. He was doing 2 nights in a lot of cities. So when you do 2 nights in a lot of cities, you don't have any responsibility. You just literally walk off the stage and it's hang out, wake up there again. It's, most tour stops were tearing the stage down. The bus rolls pretty quick. There's no time to really hang. On this tour, we were hanging. And Luke is he's such a great host. He would pop up a tent, he'd book DJs, and then he would hand out, not Luke himself, but the tour would hand out 50 or 60 passes to all the openers and go grab the hottest girls you can grab, because we want to have some fun tonight. For all the single people on tour, we're here. And so that was the hang, and Mom was coming out to shows, and I think we were in Fort Lauderdale, and another gin. I had a gin there. And y'all make me sound worse than this is.
Boy, you hell on gin, boy.
But I think I'm paraphrasing. I think Mom says, well, he's, she was talking to somebody, and Mom's like, well, he's got girlfriends in a lot of cities or something. And I was like, well, all right.
This is who Mom thinks I am.
There's the program.
Luke's he's a Georgia fan, now a Philly fan. How's it with you guys? One Gator and one Bulldog.
It was tough. Luke's very invested in Georgia. Yeah. We'll just put it that way. Okay. He's one of the boosters, I think. Okay. So he's very invested in who goes, and who goes and plays. And he is not scared to be proud of how good they are right now. Yeah. I will tell you that. It's fun to watch a ball game with him because he's so passionate about the Bulldogs, and he will have a bad show if they play a bad game. I'll have a bad show. I was watching the loss, the comeback from behind the other night. LSU. I was like, boys, I think I've turned this off. I'm gonna have a bad show. Like, I have just butterflies. It's amazing how much pride we have in our teams, right? And so during football season, I will not let myself watch a Florida Gators football game if it's close to showtime. And Luke's the same way. Wow. He would rather, he records it, and then nobody talks about any of it until the show's over, and then he gets back on the bus and watches. That's intense. Because you have to go out there in a good headspace. I mean, we are literally party coaches. We're coaching people through a night of partying, right? And we have to be tip top, ready to get them there. And if your team loses, you take the stage bummed out. It's not a good show. Right.
So we can do a lot of research, right? And you read a million things. You got to fact check it and this and that. But it's always great to hear from the horse's mouth. And your journey, just a beautiful, up and down journey. You go from golf scholarship to biology major, pre-med, to working in a shit factory.
Spot on.
To paying $35 an hour. All this beautiful stuff, being hit hanging out with the Happy Dad guys, Dana White,
Yep.
the Pivot crew right here.
Yep.
And your biggest pivot, man. What's your biggest pivot in life? Like,
Probably the what if. What if we don't try this? And I think anybody watching, if you have a what if, and you think you could have fun chasing it, whatever that is, if it's moved to Bali for a year to see what happens, if that's your what if, go do that. I have a friend that did that, says it was her best years of her life. For me, it was, what if I don't chase this dream? What if I'm a doctor in 20 years from now, and I'm still asking myself, man, could I have done that? And just listening to what that voice was and going, you know what, screw it. Let's go see what the what if is first. And so that's probably my main thing. And that was the moment of going, am I going to try music? Am I going to have this conversation with myself and my parents face to face of, hey guys, I'm not going to med school, I'm doing music full time. I'm glad the answer was yes.
Man, this was amazing, for us to get opportunities to tap into different genres, different walks of life, different journeys. That's what the show is about. But it's also cool to show that 3 former football players who are also African American can sit down with a huge country star, have things in common, understand the same type of walks and paths that get you to moments of success. I think your story is inspirational, man. We just want to keep seeing you do it. And you got street cred for me. You got punched by a baseball player and you finished the show after getting hit with a beer bottle.
Come on.
Hey, man, you tough as hell.
Well, thank you guys for having me on. It's an honor to be on here. I love what y'all are doing.
same for us.
I will say, I just learned so much from y'all's conversations with other people. It's just awesome how much info you pick up, just from hanging out. And just guys hanging. It's really cool. So keep up the good work.
My man, thank you, brother.
Yeah.
That was dope, man.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Shan, you let him down, Shan. I'm gonna dab him off first.
that?
You let him down. You're supposed to know the words. You gave him a song.
He said
you
something
knew the
about
words
champagne,
to.
black champagne or something.
What is that?
They didn't have black champagne in that song.
I think you better make some and market it on this show.
Hold up, limitless. Take a stomach, got a pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling got me up. On the mission got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On this vision I can trust. Limitless. Take a stomach, got a pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling got me up. On the